Hi, I'm Olivia Mukherjee. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm a first year PhD student from the Inorganic Cluster, and I'm currently rotating with the Pecoraro Lab.
Hi, my name is Emily, and I use she, her pronouns. I am a third year in the department in the Inorganic Cluster, and I currently work in the lab of Nate Simchak.
Hi, I'm Jessie. My pronouns are she, her. I am a fifth year in the chemistry graduate program, and I work in Nate Simchak's lab. And I am technically a member of the materials cluster, but I do most of my work in inorganic chemistry.
Hello, I am Anne McNeil, and my pronouns are she and her. And I'm a faculty member here in the Department of Chemistry at the University of Michigan.
Hi there, I'm Nicole Tuttle. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am a lecturer 3 in the chemistry department. I also have a joint appointment in the comprehensive studies program.
Science and research were probably two of the very first few words that I learned, perks of having a professor father, I guess. And the fact that I could make new molecules, new structures is that aspect of chemistry that really intrigued me. And why a PhD in a different country? I'm from India. I love to travel, so why not?
I really enjoyed chemistry in high school and in college, and despite having some poor early chemistry grades in undergrad, I really liked lab and thought maybe I'd be interested in research. And so I did a summer internship with my organic chemistry professor, who became my research advisor for the rest of undergrad. I also had the opportunity to do undergraduate funded research here at the University of Michigan for my undergrad, and which was a really great opportunity to see what an R1 research institute looked like coming from a liberal arts college. I got to work with Anne McNeil, which is a really great experience and showed me what graduate school might be like, and is the reason I applied to Michigan for graduate school. And then once I got to graduate school, I wasn't really sure what cluster I was most interested in. I thought maybe materials, maybe organic. And then I had some really great rotations, including another rotation with Anne McNeil, who was a really wonderful role model and mentor as a powerhouse woman in chemistry. And then I settled on inorganic synthesis after having a really influential semester with Nate Simchak. But that's really how I ended up where I am today. And I would have been here if it weren't for some really great research opportunities as an undergraduate.
I really got interested in chemistry when I was in college, and the world kind of opened up to me. My professors did such a great job of explaining so many complex phenomena out in the world and how we could understand it if we just understood the atoms and the bonds and the interactions that were involved. I'll still never forget my orgo professor explaining why rubber bands were stretchy. And I remember calling my parents and being like, you're going to not believe what I found out today. It was so cool. My passion to Michigan chemistry was the traditional path, going through undergraduate, graduate school, postdoc, and ultimately applying for and accepting a position here. I specifically chose Michigan chemistry because when I was on the interview circuit, this place was like a breath of fresh air. It was just such a different and very welcoming environment for me as a woman about to embark on her career. We had a large number of women faculty, women graduate students, and a woman chair at the time. And it felt right away like the right place for me. And I was really excited to be able to come here.
I first got interested in chemistry back in middle school when I learned about the periodic table for the first time. So it just seemed to me really exciting that these rows and columns of materials, could explain the makeup of everything in the universe. And I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to understand that. As a 13-year-old, when a lot of things don't make sense, the neatness of the periodic table was very appealing to me. So I actually did my undergraduate work at U of M. And my very first semester there, I took Chem 210 and I did the honors option and took the structured study group and just absolutely fell in love with organic chemistry and decided that's what I wanted to pursue going forward. I really loved, both chemistry, but also teaching. And so I ended up taking a teaching job after college, teaching science to middle school students, which was quite an experience, really enjoyable, but taught me that it takes a very special person to teach middle school, someone who really loves middle schoolers. And I really loved chemistry. So I ended up going to do my PhD at the University of Chicago, and afterwards sought out positions in science education. And that eventually brought me here to U of M, where I am teaching organic chemistry full time. It very much feels like I have come full circle.
I think that one of my biggest female role models in chemistry really has to be my undergraduate PI at Boston University, Professor Linda Dorer. And that was just really inspiring to work for a female in chemistry because, having this desire to go into sort of research and be involved in research and have someone leading the team that looks like me and, is representative of me and what I want to be someday, I think really opened my eyes to what is possible in, a sea of what otherwise was a lot of male presence. And that meant a lot to me.
I was really lucky in undergrad to get to work with a chemistry department that had a lot of women faculty members. My academic advisor, Dr. Christine Ingersoll, was really influential in helping me get to University of Michigan. And my research advisor, Dr. Marcia Barr, is really who put a fire under me to really get me going in research and kind of push me to kind of think about chemistry in new and different ways. I would say Anne McNeil has been instrumental in my being a part of the program here at the University of Michigan, first in supporting me as an undergraduate researcher, and then through my application process and actually coming to join the department as a rotation student and now as a member of my PhD committee. I honestly probably wouldn't have survived graduate school without Anne McNeil, and so having really strong female mentors like her have been really fantastic. I also had the extreme privilege of working with a really gifted PhD student, Dr. Lily Hale, who has now left Michigan and is working at Pacific Northwest National Labs, doing some great chemistry, but she has been completely instrumental in my abilities as a scientist and my ways of thinking about inorganic chemistry.
Some of my mentors and role models include our former chair, Carol Fricke, who has just done really amazing things for our department and also served as just a really tremendous role model for me in my early career. I also really look up to and appreciate both Anna Mapp and Melanie Sanford for their role and as well as their own personal mentoring of me throughout my career.
Thinking back to my undergraduate days, when I was an undergrad at U of M, the chemistry department was really just starting to push to hire more young women scientists. In particular, they brought on several young women organic chemists as I was an undergrad. And so one person who I interacted with very early in her career and mine was Anna Mapp. And I really liked Anna as a person and also thought she was doing really great science and saw the ways in which her hire felt like it was opening pathways for me and people who look like me. In my graduate work, one faculty member at the Department of Chemistry at the University of Chicago, who I really admired, was Ka-Yi Lee. She was both doing some really interesting and groundbreaking science, but also, as I was able to see more behind the scenes, was a person who really cared very deeply about mentorship, worked really well with her students to help them develop their careers and to develop as scientists. And I appreciated how she was able to bring the human side of science into her work. And that's something that I've always tried to emulate in my own work since then as well.
One of the earliest memories I have of knowing women who were chemists and having inspiring women in my life is my great aunt who worked for the EPA as a chemist. She worked for them during the 80s and 90s and had a master's in chemistry that she earned while being a single mother. And I was just always very inspired by this extremely intelligent woman who had the job and the career that she wanted and also had this wonderful life with her children. And I've just always been totally floored by what she accomplished during her career with the EPA.
The most inspiring woman would have to be my mom, because even though technically she's a housewife, but the way her eyes light up when she sees a differential equation or a calculus problem, I can't imagine. She's the best thing that ever happened for me. And she used to help me with my maths in high school and also back in undergrad. So it's my mom, hands down.
Yeah, so when I came to Michigan, keeping that, feel of having a woman mentor and things like that really was still a priority of mine. And so I was fortunate enough to rotate in the lab with Melanie Sanford. I think that was equally rewarding in terms of working for a true powerhouse in chemistry that is a female in chemistry. And so that was really great. And so even though now I work for Nate, who is obviously not a female in chemistry, I still feel surrounded by really, really successful and powerful females in chemistry every day that I come into this building.
These days, one thing that I've really been thinking about is the need to diversify chemistry, particularly along racial lines, because it is currently not very. One group of young women in particular who have been really inspiring to me have been my CSP students, particularly my young women students of color. They are super energized about getting into science. They bring a lot of smarts, talent, creativity, resilience, and drive. I find them really inspiring every day. I'm hoping that the various science fields that they're going into will rise up to meet them because I know they have a ton to offer the community of science and chemistry.
So my advice to any young women who are interested in the field of science would be really just to take a look at where the field has come in these past decades and see the strides that women have made and really see that, like me, finding someone that looked like me and reminded me of me in chemistry was really important for me. And so I would, give the advice to search out someone that looks like you doing what you want to do, because nowadays that person is out there doing chemistry or whatever you want to do. And, having them as a role model, I think really helps individually. And it is something that I would suggest.
Don't give up. You don't get to lose if you just don't give up. That's the whole secret. If you don't give up, you won't ever lose.
Look for people who are going to support you. That can be other women, that can be really supportive men in your scientific career, or honestly, it doesn't even have to be another scientist. Give yourself a really good support structure when you're going through a really hard time in terms of your science isn't working, and so that affects your life in other regards, or just are going to be there and offer you support in ways that you need to blow off steam and go out and hang out with your good friends, or maybe you need advice from a mentor that has nothing to do with academia, but just, a shoulder to lean on and someone to talk to. I have found that my best mentors have been those that I can have a really good conversation with and feel like they listen to me and they hear me. And I think that that's really important to have in your wheelhouse, is really good support system.
Find what you're excited about, what interests you, what makes you happy when you're doing it, and then try to find a career that enables you to do that on sort of a daily basis and get paid for it. So pay attention to those things you get excited about and follow that.
The first piece of advice would be not to hide yourself. So it can be tempting to try to make yourself fit in a world that doesn't necessarily look like you. And that is a recipe for making your soul feel a little smaller. And so you have to find ways to feel like your authentic self, even though it might feel really challenging. It might make you feel really vulnerable. In terms of longevity, it's also necessary because it's very hard to continue on if we're not feeling like we can bring ourselves into what we're doing. There's a lot of value in casting a wide net and looking for peers and mentors broadly across the chemistry community.